Hola, hello, salud. I am Sonia Corrêa. I'm a feminist. I'm Brazilian. I have been working for many decades on matters related to gender and sexuality. And for the last 20 years, I have been the co-chair of Sexuality Policy Watch. I would say that the first milestone is to have become an adult in the 1960s, in the midst of the cultural and sexual revolution of those times, which in Brazil coincided with the military dictatorship. And so we were both claiming freedoms that we did not have as the young people in relation to matters concerning sexuality, but we were also on the street and mobilizing against authoritarianism. A second milestone was how I became a feminist in France in the 1970s, in the midst of I would say this was the height, this was the blossoming moment of French feminism, including because this was when the abortion law reform has taken place. This has left me a deep mark. The third moment is definitely the privilege I had having been part of the large and wide feminist movement that has followed the 1919 conferences of the UN. Here I'm speaking of Rio, 92, Vienna, Cairo, Beijing, the +5 reviews, and up to the Durban conference on racism, racial discrimination, xenophobia, and related forms of discrimination, which has later opened up to matters more deeply and consistently related to gender and sexuality. As, for example, the role I have played as the chairperson of the drafting committee that has elaborated the Yogyakarta principles. It has opened the grounds for matters of gender identity and sexual orientation to be consistently incorporated in the normative frames and the epistemologies of international human rights law. If you're on the marketplace, you know how many products have been sold, how much profit you have got out of that. When you're doing political work, its effects are usually invisible. Sometimes they take years to emerge in front of you. It's intangible work. We have managed to change international human rights norms and modes of thinking. When you work directly with the specific cases of human rights violations and going through that painful process of following a case that may take 10 years, at the end of the day, you get a juridical, constitutional, or decision coming from one of the human rights committees saying that your quest was right, that the human rights of that person or that group was violated, and somebody has to reparate that injustice. But I'm also very pleased when sometimes I go to large international conferences and there's people that come to me just to say that they want to talk to me because they have read me. So when people come to me and say, that paper changed my life in many ways, that's incredibly moving. It's something that puts me all the time on the verge of crying, because it's like the bottle with a message that you have thrown in the sea, and the message is coming back from the ocean. So it's really an incredible experience. When you see that justice, freedom, and equality is flourishing in some ways, you see that light, that glimpse of another world is there, and you can almost touch it. To see that your dream, your imagination is not just a fantasy. I also have an imagination that younger people today, if they imagine and they dream, they are an incredible force to continue this work that is not just mine, has been done by so many throughout history. I know that reaching full equality is an ambitious imagination, but we have to have the world and the conditions of the world open for that. We should not fight for equality because it's something ideological or because it's a main tenet of justice. It's all of that. But also because it's a path for everybody to be more happy and joyful living in complex societies. And I probably also say to people that they may not realize, but everybody would be much happier and joyful in a more equal world.